a resolution for next year, we have a guideline.
Yeah.
So rule number 1, 50, 20, 30. And we have said what? That 50% of our income will go into our needs. Food, rent, groceries, transport, the needs, the things we have to do, we cannot do without. 30% will go into wants. We can put it in the vacation, restaurant, holidays, entertainment. And 20% must go to savings and investments. Now, rule number 2, the 300 rule. If you want to know how much fund you need to finance your comfortable retirement, multiply your current monthly expenses by 300. If you do that, you are going to have a clear idea of how much we need. And we have seen if you're spending 50,000 every month, multiply by 300, that gives you 15 million. If you have a fund of 15 million, you sustain your life. Let's go to rule number 3. It is called the Home 3X rule. Now, for anybody who wants to own a home, they always have a question. How much of my income should I use for that purpose? Because you cannot use 100%. Now, experts say you should not buy a house that's going to cost you more than 2.5 to 2.5 years income. 2.5 years, 2.5x is 2.5 years income to 3 years income. So if you're earning 100,000, don't buy a home beyond 3 million. If you're earning 100,000, so your home can be anything from 3 million to 3.6 million, so that you don't buy too much home. Because if you buy too much home, this is the danger. That normally people want to buy their homes in their 30s and 40s. If you buy a big home and you spend all the money buying the big home, you will find you finance it through your 30s, your 40s, and your 50s. When you retire after 50, that's the only thing you own. You don't have anything else. Surely your home cannot finance your retirement. And that becomes a problem. Because when you get into your late 40s and 50s, children are in high school, children are in college. Home ownership and college do not compete. College will win in a day. And that is why we don't spend too much money. In fact, if the interest rates are very high, and at the moment they're about 19%, you should consider never to own a home that would be equivalent to your 2 years income. So that's just a rule. The 3 is, we call it the 3X rule. So don't, when you're thinking how much money can I spend to buy a home, ask yourself, what's my annual income multiplied by 3? The value of the home or the home loan or whatever should not be more than that. And that is why we recommend for people, if you want to do home ownership and you do not have all the money, make it a slow process. Ile njia yetu ya sako, kaploti kidogo, then tutajenga pole. Because if you don't do that, it is going to exceed a lot. So that's rule number 3, the 3X.
Yeah,
Home
and
X rule.
it is a good rule, Mr. Omi, the way you're highlighting it, because you're saying college and education, you can never compete with
No, it's
them,
not competition.
because it is a need. You need to educate your children.
Yes.
So
you can't be telling them I'm building a good home, so you guys you can't go to college.
You
No,
will wait
it doesn't
until
work
I
that.
finish.
Yes. And you see, as you're having that competition, retirement is also saying I'm coming.
Yes.
So you still need to prepare for me.
So you'll have a big home and you're frustrated.
Yes, that's why planning becomes important. If you just have a big home and you don't have anything to eat, then it's of no value. It becomes a big problem. Sure. We look at rule number 4. Rule number 4 is for investors. People always keep asking, where can I invest and make a lot of money? And I've actually just had an advert from a money market fund. They're saying we are giving you so much return. This is just to help you to see how long will it take to double your investment. How long can it take to double your investment? So if you want to find out how long it is going to take to double your investment, divide 72 by the growth rate of your investment. If you're getting 10% return per annum, divide 72 by 10, you get 7.2 years. It's going to take 7.2 years for that money to double. That's straight, that's simple. If you're getting 15%, divide 72 by 15, and you're going to see how long it is going to. So when you're making a decision, you want to get money long term, and you want to see where can I get money to double, then you see the interest. But we must always remember something. When the interest is very high, the risk is also very high. Yes. So we must go knowing that. That yes, we are not only going to get a high return, we're also encountering a high risk. But the rule of 72, very easy rule to understand. That's rule number 4.
Number 4.
We can look at rule number 5.
Yeah.
Rule number 5 is called the 24-10 rule. 24-10 rule. This is about buying a car. If you want to take a loan to buy a car, and when we are saying taking a loan to buy a car, we are not addressing ourselves to the car when it is a tool of trade. You run a hardware and you need a car to transport materials. That's a tool for your trade. You're a salesperson and you're buying a car so that you can move from point A to point B. That's not what we're addressing. Here we are addressing what we call the social car. It's for me to go to work only, for me to drop my children to school and all that. Now, the minimum down payment that you should put in is 20%. You should not be putting in more than 20%. Okay? Now, so that's where the 20 is coming from. So if somebody is financing you and they're asking you to put more than 20, then that's not a good deal. Now, 4 years, which is the 4, is the maximum number of years you should be able to finance the car. You should pay your loan in 4 years. That's what we're saying. You cannot be buying a car and paying for 10 years. Why are we not paying a car for 10 years? It is depreciating. It is not going to give you value. So if you take a SACCO loan, if you take an employee loan, maximum 4 years. Beyond 4 years, you're not going to get value for your car. Now, 10% is the maximum amount of your gross income that you should spend in buying a car. From your gross income, you should spend only 10% buying a car. So it's that simple. Not more than 20% in down payment. Use 4 years to service the loan. Don't put in more than 10% of your income servicing the car loan. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's easier because we must remember cars depreciate and they tend to depreciate in 4 years. After 4 years, you may not even be able to draw a lot of money. And that's why you have to ask ourselves, do I really need the car? Is it necessary? Am I just showing off to my friends? Hata mimi nimefika. Kwanza hii holiday ya December. Kila mtu they want to drive a car to their village. And you see how many get stalling on the way. Because sometimes, we run out of fuel or whatever, all those challenges. So we must be able to afford it. If we can't afford it, itatusumbua. Na hakuna haja kununua gari ya kusumbua.
Ni vizuri vile ambavyo unasema because we love showing off.
Yes.
Especially for the holidays. They will know that I'm here.
But we must also admit a car is a good.
It is.
Oh, it is very good. You have comfort.
Yeah.
You have your own space. You can play your own music.
Yes.
You can control the weather. If you want it cold, you put the AC. If you want it hot, you can listen to the music that you love. You can have the conversation that you want. It's a nice thing. It's good to have, but it should not actually push you into problems. We should be able to take care of the money so that we do not eventually find, we own the car and that's all we have. We don't have other investments. That's where the 24-10 rule comes from, so that we have a guide on that. These rules are interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very, very interesting. And I love the way they come with a very simple name.
Yes.
But when you look at it, it's not so simple.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to take another rule, rule number 6. It is called the 3X emergency rule. 3X emergency rule. Now, life has a way of throwing curveballs our way. Things we didn't expect. And when they happen urgently, they need to be addressed urgently. And many times they need money now.
Yes.
And honestly, it's not the complicated things, it's the easier things. We love the phone. You wake up, you look at your phone. You wake up in the night, you look at your phone. You wake up in the morning, you look at the phone. How many times do we look at the phone in a day? A lot of time. In fact, nowadays, for young parents, it is the tool to silence the kid.
Yeah.
So it's got multiple uses. It is the bank. It is communication. It is entertainment. It is everything. But the phone has a bad habit. It can just drop and break.
Yeah.
How long would I stay without it?
You become sick.
Yeah, but how long? Just a few hours, maybe.
Yeah.
The question is then, where is the money to buy the next one? If that happened, where is the money? For the person who is driving the car, and in the morning you wake up and the battery is flat. Yes, you can use the Uber to go for the appointment, but you still have to fix this thing, and you have to fix now. Sometimes with all this shisha story, somebody is taken ill and we have to raise the money at midnight. Those are curveballs. And as we're dealing with those curveballs, we have no guarantee that our income will always come. Because life, sicknesses, accidents, retrenchments, business failure, All those things are a possibility. Where is the safety net to hold us when we fall? If the phone wasn't there, you know how the young ones are on holiday and they try many things. They can try whether your phone can swim. These guys are gifted in trying many things, and they're your children. There's not much you can do. You have to buy another one. If I don't have the cash, for sure I have only two options. I'll go to expensive credit, maybe the Shyrock, or I'll have to sell something in a hurry, and I'll sell it for very little money. To avoid all those things, that's why we set up an emergency fund. Some money that you can dip your finger when you have an emergency and sort out the issue and deal with it later. Now, we also use it as a contingency fund. If I lost my income or if my income dropped, it can sustain my lifestyle. I always tell people, God gives us a gracious gift called children, but they come in certified consumers. They don't care where you are in the day. When you come back home, umeniletea nini? So you can't tell them that hakunaga job, ama biashara ilianguka. You know, they can't ask for bread, you give them stone. That's not a possibility. So where is the money? So this 3X rule says this. You should have a fund that is equivalent to your 3 months income. So that should anything happen, that fund, wherever you keep it, and there are nice places to keep that fund. You can keep it in a money market fund. And I think we have been advertising a couple of these money market funds. A small portion of it can stay in the bank account where you have an ATM card. And for that bank account that you have an ATM card, please share that PIN with somebody else. Because in the event of an accident, you who knows the PIN, you might be the one who is silent. We want to take you for urgent medical attention, but we can't access the money. And you know how long it takes when we don't have the money. So we need to be able to take care of that. So, and it is always a simple process setting up this fund, but it is very, very necessary. I always tell people, if you ever know where construction sand comes from, it comes from the river. And when they go and get the truck in the base of the river, they scoop the sand, the truck has to leave the river. Behind the truck, as it is going on planks of wood, they put a wedge. It never goes back. So anytime it moves a bit, they put a wedge. It keeps going up. This fund is your financial wedge. It ensures you don't fall back. You are saving to buy a plot. Something happened. You did not take that money. You are saving to pay school fees in January. Something happened. You did not take this money. But this money is for emergency. Now, this is not for the salon. This is not for Christmas shopping. This is not for travel. This is for emergency. We have to define the emergencies. So 3 times our monthly income. That's where the 3X rules come from. If you actually manage it well, it should actually be 6 months. What this means is, if you had a discontinuity in income, and we find people get retrenched, for 3 months, your lifestyle doesn't change. You will still go to the chama and you pay your SACCO loan, you pay your rent, life continues. Because life is continuing well, do you see now you have the ability to look for a new job? Can you imagine in a situation where there's no job and next month you don't even have money for rent or transport? Now, will you hustle or will you look for a job? And there's nothing as bad as appearing for an interview and the panel asks, what are you doing? And you say, I'm hustling. Likely they will not give you a job. Because you look like you're not organized. And they don't want somebody not organized. So this fund is going to help us so that it is our 3 months living expenses are all taken care of. If you do it for 6 months, the better. So that's where the 3X emergency fund rule comes from. Very simple, something that we can easily be able to use.
Yeah, very simple, but very, very important.
Yes, very, very, very important. We say when we're looking at the finances, before we do everything else, this is where we start. And we always say to people, don't look at, okay, I am earning 50,000 and they are telling me to save 150. How? No, it is simple. We always have a nice mantra. Think big, start small, but start now. Yes, you need 150. You don't have it. What do you have? 3,000. Just start with that 3,000. Because that 3,000 over a period of time will give you the first 50.
Sure.
And that 3,000, we keep it in a money market fund or we keep it in another investment. You see, it is growing.
Yes.
It is growing. So it is going to grow. And within time, we will have it. When we have that money, we can sleep in peace. Even if anything happens, the children will go to school.
Yeah.
Food will be on the table. Because one of the reasons why we have a lot of mental stress in this country is money related.
Yeah.
And we need to correlate mental health and financial wealth. Because if the financial wealth is not there, we're having all these other problems. So this is a very important rule that we need to observe. Rule number 6, 3x, the emergency fund rule. We can do rule number 7?
Sure.
Oh, you thought there were too many. They are not too many. They're
not
just
too many.
simple.
But the information is quite good and big.
Yes. Now, rule number 7 is called the 3x rule.
3x.
3x rule. Now, for anybody who's got dependents, if you're the breadwinner and you got dependents, life throws curveballs. And sometimes the curveballs are heavy, that the breadwinner may not be there. But those who are left behind have a life to continue. And that is why we have something called life insurance. That's why companies buy life insurance. Now, from people who've done emergency studies, they will tell you if there was an accident, the first 3 minutes, everybody is on their own. But in the next 3 hours, anybody who needs help must be helped. If you don't get help in the next 3 hours, things will not be right. But when you send somebody to hospital, we expect them out in 3 weeks. You know, week 1, we are there. Flowers, cards, visits. By week 3, ajatoka. Can you see 3s are building? 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 weeks. The employer expects you back to work 3 months. If it is beyond 3 months, they will start considering retiring on medical grounds. When the breadwinner is not there, it takes 3 years for those who've been left behind to readjust, to know how to live without that person. So they need an income replacement, a readjustment fund, and that's what life insurance is. So the life insurance that we need should be equivalent to our 3 years income. That's where the 3x has come from. 3 years income. That's what it should be equivalent. So it's good for us to say, how much life insurance do I have? Is it adequate? Is it equivalent to 3 years? And you're going to see most employers, that's sort of benefit they give their workers, a 3 years equivalent of salary, that if the worker was not there, the family will be paid the salary the worker would have earned for the next 3 years, so they're able to do their adjustment, then they go on. Simple rules, straight rules.
But very important.
Very important, yes. So in summary, we can run over them. Rule number 1, we said 50, 30, 20. 50% of our money needs, 30% in wants, 20% in our goals. Rule number 2, 300 rule. Okay, multiply your current income with 300. Be sure that's the fund that you need to finance your retirement at the same level of living. Rule number 3, your 3x rule. Don't buy a home that is higher than your 3 years income. So if you want to know how much house you need to buy, multiply your income by 3 years. That will give you the value of the house that you can buy. Rule number 4, the rule of 72. How long is it going to take for your money to double? Divide the interest rate you're getting divide 72 by that interest rate, and you're going to see how long it is going to double. Rule number 5. 20, 4, 10. When you're buying a car, don't put in more than 20% down payment. Pay your car loan within 4 years. And don't spend more than 10% of your income servicing a car loan. Rule number 6. The 3x emergency rule. Your emergency fund should be equivalent to your 3 months living expenses. And rule number 7. 3x rule. Your life insurance should be equivalent to your 3 years salary. If you make it more than 3 years, the better. And you see, now that is sort of the rules we have in the financial system. And that's why we invite people to come and learn more. Because if you want to learn more of that, that's why we welcome you to the Wealth Creation Masterclass. So if you just send your name, you can text, you can WhatsApp to 0708150137. I say it again, Pole. 0708150137. Somebody is going to respond to you, and they'll give you a link. Join us in the evening, then we can learn more. If you want to get engaged in the whole program, you might have come in, you listened and you liked it. We're starting a new season on 21st of November, and you know how to get in touch with us. Get in touch with us through the same number, and you can actually be able to join the class. For today, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you, Kate, for driving this bus very nicely. That we have learned all these 7 rules easily. You know, numbers make people uncomfortable.
Yeah,
But we made the numbers comfortable in the discussion.
Yeah.
And I know somebody has learned something. And like you said, when we are setting the goals for next year, now we sort of have a guideline where we are
Yeah.
going to get things moving.